from God through sight. Hearing from God through what we see is one of the funnest ways of hearing from God. And so I'm going to give you one biblical example, one personal example, and some docility challenges so that you can dispose yourself to hearing from God in this way. We see in Jeremiah 1, Jeremiah going for a stroll. And then God says to him, Jeremiah, what do you see? I see an almond tree, he replies. Very good, Jeremiah, God says, and so shall I watch over my word, so it doesn't return to me void. Now, when you're reading that, you might be a little bit confused, saying, what happened there? But if you check the footnote in your Bible, it'll explain to you that the word almond and the word watchful sound the same in Hebrew. So we see God in this instance doing three things. First of all, speaking through what Jeremiah sees, speaking symbolically, and just to spice it up, throws in a play on words. I had an example of that myself. In my previous job, I used to commute to Germany. And one day I was walking from my hotel to our office, and I walked by this business that had the letter CCO on their door. And I was thinking, oh, Catholic Christian Outreach is now in Germany. I kind of chuckled to myself, knowing that they probably hadn't expanded that far. And I was about to kind of go on my merry way, and then just something very quiet inside of me. What do you see? Chris, what do you see? And I'm like, Lord, like, oh my goodness, what do you mean? And so I'm like, what do you see? And I'm saying, well, I see a door, and I see CCO on the door, and I'm thinking about what this could mean, and I'm praying, CCO, door, CCO. Very gently it came, I will open a door for you at CCO. And I really had no context for that. I mean, I'd always admired CCO from afar, but I didn't see what that could mean. But I continued to pray on it. And as I prayed on it, I felt like maybe the Lord was saying, you will work for CCO someday. And so I'm, Lord, well, if that's the case, they can call me. And then they did. And now I work for CCO. So what about you? Have you had this experience of hearing from God through something you see, like physically, in the natural? Well, let me give you two docility challenges to help dispose you to hearing from God in this way. The first docility challenge is an active one. So number one, think of an area where you'd like to have some wisdom, some guidance. You'd like to know the Lord's will. Number two, ask the Lord to speak to you through something that you see. Number three, when you go to sit down to pray on it, even in the place where you're praying, ask the Lord to highlight something in the room that might somehow speak to the question you've placed before him. And when you do that, it's kind of like a super gentle thing. You look around and something that maybe just kind of piques your curiosity. Remember, you've asked the Lord now. Just kind of go and stop there and say, okay, Lord, what are you saying through this? Think about what you're seeing, what it might mean. If it's literal, then the meaning is obvious, but often it's symbolic, and say, okay, Lord, what does this mean? And then number four, if it has some meaning, ask the Lord for confirmation, to speak in some other way to give you clarity, further clarity potentially, or confirmation. The second docility challenge is what I call a passive docility challenge, where you just say, Lord, like if you have something you want to say to me, then I'm open to you highlighting something and having me stop and say, Lord, what are you saying? And then when that happens, if you have this experience where you're somewhere and there's a little super quiet voice that says, son or daughter, what do you see? Then think about what it might symbolize if the meaning isn't literally apparent, and pray and ask the Lord, and then to continue to pray on that. Anyway, if you found this video helpful, then like it, subscribe, follow, share with friends.